Hello, Parsons Collab Design for Literacy students. This is Marcos, and this is our week two going to week three recap briefing video. I'm going to keep this one nice and short since you guys had to suffer through an hour-long video last week. And we've got just quick updates on what we did in our last class last night for me. And it was a fantastic class, our first critique, our second class session, and you guys came through with some really great concepts and amazing ideas for what could be your designs for your baby board books. So very excited about that, and I really appreciate you guys doing this after just one day of briefing and jumping in and creating a full-on concept with some good solid research, following my direction. And the A making machine like that, and I heard the sound of it purring in the background in the A making machine laboratory. It is making those A's. So keep this up all semester long, and we're going to have a great, great outcome. But more importantly, forget those A's. It's these books you're making. And so fantastic to see you guys talk about dirt and be understanding about what you've gotten on board with and working as a designer as part of the team, and truly in the spirit of the collab class, and in the spirit of being a designer, like joining a cause, joining an organization, and getting a sense of what it is by downloading the information, by getting briefed, and then responding with your understanding of what that should be. So keep doing that. Keep in mind who you're doing this for, how this outcome could end up in the hands of families, in the hands of kids, and make those books so they're as effective as possible. Let's dive into what we need to do. So if we're going to go now from our part one to our part two, now we're going to concept development. And basically what you're tasked to do next is understand the feedback and your own feelings about how you looked at the work you did in that deck. And now that you've got that done, you can kind of look at it with fresh eyes and say, okay, that this is making sense. I'm really liking this. Maybe you got comments from me or fellow students. Take that in. Again, as I said, you don't have to be locked in if you're not quite certain about your idea. This is now the time to explore other ideas or to consider revising your idea or updating it. That can't be going on for too much longer because we got to get into the design here. So do it now or forever hold your peace, as they say. But I don't think that's really true for any of you. I think everyone had good, solid ideas. Some of you have a choice to make between two ideas or even three for some of you. So that might be the biggest effort you have to do. And even if you bring two ideas to next class, that's okay too. If you want to do that work, that's one way to help resolve what's best. But either way, understand and respond to the feedback you were given. And if you need to refine and finalize your book concept statement, that book concept statement is going to be part of your final deck. So do get it down now so you don't have to worry about it later. And then we're going to dive into two parts for this assignment. One is to create a full-on storyboard of your book that outlines the architecture of your book and how it will utilize each page and what will be assigned to that, what will be the content aspect, what kind of visuals will be planned for that or even sketched onto your storyboard so that you can begin not just the planning process, but the design and thought process to figure out how you're going to express your book, your story, your narrative, your idea within these seven spreads, these cover back in seven spreads, 16 full pages, including the cover and back, and do that within the form of the storyboard. I showed you guys a couple of examples or three examples, like one that just mostly in a wireframe kind of way where it's just words, and that's okay. I don't mind that. But then I prefer doing it more sketch-like where you're planning it in a wireframe way, but you're also beginning a preliminary design process with your storyboard so you can kind of start to plan out how you see those spreads being used. And then from there, you're going to go on your second part, and that's going to create some preliminary design sketches, some preliminary layouts of your cover and 2 to 3 spreads. And within those 2 to 3 spreads covers, you might even want to do variations of how your design is going to happen. So it might be a cover in 2 spreads done 3 times in 3 different ways. So just this is the time to really explore. So don't be shy. Don't just go for the minimum because I just said do 3 spreads. Like do as much as you need to do in order to like really explore the best way to realize your vision for your design. Again, you might want to be considering using a kind of style that you've done in the past, or you might be considering thinking of something and implementing something brand new to you. And I totally encourage that. At the same time, this is probably the time to test it out, to try to make some of this, to see if you're able to do it, to see how long it takes, to see if it doing one thing times seven or is going to not take too long. So just be ambitious, but also be prudent and plan carefully so that you can play the clock properly. And yeah, so that's the basic idea. So I just went over those two things, and these outlines are in the canvas. But here's a new example I didn't show yesterday of this is Opposites book, Opposites All Day Long. Maybe you saw it last week, but it was on the table yesterday. But this is a book from last year, and this student created their storyboard. This is their week two assignment. It's exactly what you're doing now, or week three, part two assignment. And here you see basically, a pretty close rendition of what this person ended up doing. Like you can see that first spread is like she pretty much thought that through. Again, I'm not pressing that there is the second spread looks like that. I'm not pressing that you need to do this now, although, man, it seems like all the examples I'm showing are doing this, and maybe it's not as difficult as I think, because there you see that she pretty much planned the strategy of her layouts without getting too detailed about it, but they're pretty much showing exactly what's happening in the content and in the compositions, even to the night sky being drawn in there. Oh, she didn't do the back, so okay, you don't have to do everything, or actually the front either. She didn't do the front, but there you see the spreads worked out. And it's important at this stage that you make sure that you have 16 pages. The cover and the back are two of the pages. And then here she kind of misnumbers it, 1 through 14. Technically, the cover is 1, so it's 2 to 3 from here on. It's still the right amount of pages, so I'm not going to criticize it too much, but don't let this fool you. Like cover is page 1 and back is page 16. So in between that are your numbers. That's how it technically works. Just make sure you have these 7 spreads. That's the key. And think it through, like how are you going to use those spreads? You can't add, you can't take away. Think about how spreads are used versus pages, how they work together, how they work before and after. Don't try to be too ambitious with it. Like think about it in a way that's going to flow easily. And then from there, this student created kind of a couple of similar executions to a concept that had just a little bit of variations. Like she considered, should I have black border lines or no border lines, or should I make this actual like kind of fake paper cutout by making the shapes that make up the aspects be more wobbly than normal. They're not like if you see the windows and the door of the house here. This one's like nice and straight, and this one's kind of crookedy. And she went with the paper cutout, the faux paper cutout idea with hers, and presented this in class, and we kind of agreed to it. And then she also explored the type treatment. Here's her typeface, but then she's seeing if it makes sense to maybe add a little bit of extra in terms of keywords like thick and thin, whether she should do on the right side here, a thinness to the word thin and a thickness to the word thick, or same here, like should the word big be bigger or just normal and bold. This is pretty subtle, and you can do less subtle things than this. You can try completely different type treatments all around. But this is just a basic example of how you can use this next week to explore variations, to kind of nail things down while still being open to different ideas. And so in the end, this is basically what you'll be handing in, starting on the cover page. And of course, this is a very shy, look a little of that thank yous there. Don't be shy about saying thank you. The thank you page is very important to have there. I want 100% compliance next week, and not to have and anyone who will be nameless forget theirs. We got to have perfection when it comes to thank you pages. Anywhere else, mistakes are encouraged. Make mistakes, but never forget a thank you page. Okay, so I also spoke about the fact that we have an InDesign template you will be utilizing. You don't necessarily need this week, although you might want it. So I put a link in the Canvas assignment briefing where you can download this as a zip drive, as a compressed drive, and it'll open up in InDesign. And basically, here you see the logo on the spine and the cover and the UPC and the text. All this needs to stay there. Don't mess with it. Don't move it. Don't change it. and utilize the space around it. We'll talk more about that as we get closer to it. But here you can just see basically the idea that I put gray here just to show that there's actually a white box around here. And this dirt logo here, you can change this one. It can be black or white. And maybe an instance where the color makes sense. I'm open to that too. That the spine could be different. And again, remember the spine is important. Like little details like that little moon kind of makes this one with the sun. You can kind of get a lot out of a spine if you, if I can get this in the screen here, if you really push it. So keep that in mind. And then here's the example, one of the examples I showed in class of what's due. Basically, it's here we see it, the storyboard, two cover options, and three layouts. In this case, this person was doing a simple vector illustration style, so there was no need to sketch it for her, or she kind of sketched it already. She did sketch it actually in storyboard, and then she took it to actuality. So this one looks pretty real. She probably downloaded the template in InDesign and used it. So this would be a case to do that. So this is an example of that. And the idea here is you don't, I would encourage you to attach it to last week's assignment and then just start on, start in the section that begins the assignment for this week. Or you can keep it separate. Either way is fine, but just make sure you know you're building it together to become one big presentation. And the bottom part here is what counts. And here you see, starting with your design concept is probably a good place to start for next week. Like remind us what your design concept is. On Canvas, we have, here's the example of that incredible storyboard that I just couldn't stop gushing about last night, but it is incredible, but make yours just as good. I have the PDF to the baby board book lecture there, just in case you want to resource that. Or last week's hour-long video, it's in there somewhere, like 45 minutes into the video. No fast speeds, remember that. And then the YouTube link to the silent page through videos are right there. And also there's a link to our Google Drive, and you'll be adding it to this part 2 design concept folder. Remember, Canvas is not where I want you can submit it there, but it needs to be submitted. The A-making machine wants it submitted in the Google Drive because it can get its hands on it much easier and start making your A out of what you put there. So be sure you're putting it there. And again, reference the videos and just as inspiration. Remember, this is the end result. It's going to be a printed 3D object that's like sturdy and interactive and inspiring. And so this is a full color. Even if you choose to do like black and white, it's still like a lush kind of real piece. This is like authentic experience. It's not a digital thing. And this is like something that's going to have the potential to like be in the hands, in the minds, and in the hearts of kids and families. So keep that big ideal in mind as you continue on with this next step. Here's a picture of what the video looks like on YouTube. Check that out. And just another reminder of what you're doing in terms of creating your storyboard and making your preliminary sketches if you're covering a couple of spreads and expanding ideas of design. All right, guys, that's it. Keep going. I have a productive weekend and a great week. If you have any questions, email me back. Always happy to respond, or even if you feel stuck and need to get a quick Zoom chat, I'm happy to do that too. So I'll keep that as an extended invitation. I'm here to be utilized. This is what you're paying for, somebody to help guide you. So I will do as much as I can for each of you. But it's probably not the hard part yet. So if don't feel like you have to come up with something, but if you do get stuck, let me know. In the meantime, have a great week, and I will see you guys on Thursday night. Bye.